Ooh, another white boy with a podcast. Pronouns, Jim Bro. Another white boy with a podcast. You want to see the video? It went viral.
Hi, Gains Gurus, and welcome to TMGP, the Muscle Growth Podcast, Episode 5. I am your host, Roscoe, and today we are welcoming Coach Leo Kruger onto the show. Beyond the world of coaching, Leo leads a double life as a business intelligence analyst, where he specializes in creating and analyzing data models. It's a job that keeps him on his toes, but Leo's true passion lies in the realm of fitness and muscle growth. Currently, Leo has the privilege of working with a diverse group of 55 clients, ranging from those embracing the lifestyle to competitive athletes, with a notable 65% being phenomenal women. The proof of their collective hard work is reflected in 2023's impressive placings: 9 first places, 4 second places, and 7 third places. It's a testament to the dedication and commitment of the incredible individuals that he has the honor of coaching. As a programming and hypertrophy expert, Leo brings a wealth of knowledge to the table, particularly in the realm of performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs. His academic background includes an honors degree in quantity surveying from the University of Pretoria, complemented by his personal training courses through TriFocus and various online certifications, including J3U by John Jewett. He is also a proud lifetime member at Prep Coach Academy by Victor Black. With almost 17 years of personal gym experience under his belt, he took a brief hiatus before diving headfirst into serious training. Over the past 4 years, he's been coaching clients, initially keeping it low-key due to work commitments. However, in 2023, Leo made the leap to actively grow his online coaching business, expanding from around 10 clients to nearly 60 in less than a year. This significant step allowed him to branch out on social media, sharing insights, tips, and inspiration with a broader audience. In today's episode, we'll delve into topics ranging from effective programming to the nuances of hypertrophy, all while exploring the fascinating world of muscle growth. Given that brief glimpse into Leo's coaching and bodybuilding background, let's jump right into the show. Hi, Coach Leo.
Hey, Roscoe. How's it, man?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
Doing good. Can't complain. Thanks for having me on the show.
Only a pleasure. I'm excited. Cool. So let's get to it. Can you briefly introduce yourself and your journey into the world of bodybuilding and coaching?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first time I fell in love with the gym is about 17 years ago. It's actually longer than that ago. And my journey actually started when I was really young. I was very sporty and played a lot of sports. I got pushed into a lot of sports from a young age by my parents, mostly my mother. And the sport that stuck was swimming. Myself and my sister was very, very good at swimming from very young age. Preschool age and then into primary school age, and we swam at a very high level. Well, we had a very high level coach coaching us for swimming, and one of the things that we had to do 3 times a week was to do a gym program before we hit the pool. So, and this was when I was just getting into primary school. I was a little bit older. It's probably like 12 years old or so, when we started doing gym training 3 times a week before swimming training. And we started off at Virgin Active, because it was a big pool at Virgin Active Mainland in Pretoria, and a very nice gym there. So we did a lot of gym work before training, and the gym work was always more fun to me than the swim training was. So from a young age, it sort of like grabbed at me, and my parents decided to even build us like a pull-up bar at home, and my sister and I we were really young, so she could do just as many pull-ups as I could at that stage, and we would challenge each other every day to see who can do the most pull-ups. And physical fitness was always a big thing to me. So that was my first exposure in the gym. But when the bug really bit me was in high school. early in high school, I had a couple of friends that played rugby really, really well, and they had to hit the gym quite often as well, and I would go with them and start training properly. Well, what we thought was properly. So I was about 14, 15 years old, really getting into the gym, and then just continue to exercise. I was pretty skinny. Started to hit my stride in matric when I was about 18 years old, and from varsity years, I was for 5 years at university. That's when we really started to gym hard and try to become like the big guys in the gym. So every day was revolving more around when are we going to gym, as opposed to when are we going to class. So we skipped a lot of class, unfortunately, for gym sessions. But anyways, we all passed, so that was fine. So yeah, that's how I got into the gym and started training. And only in the past 5 years or so, I started coaching online. It wasn't really a thing I was expecting to do, but my path just went that way, and I started helping clients. And the business just started taking off this year. So I'm very fortunate in being able to do coaching now as well. So
That's an awesome introduction. Thank you so much. So what got you into the coaching aspect of it?
So I suppose about 6 or 7 years ago, I decided I had to restart my gym journey basically about 6 to 7 years ago. There was a period where I had extreme amount of stress. I started a couple of businesses. I was working extremely hard. I was working 7 days a week, 16-hour days. I was pretty much burnt out, and I told myself I didn't have time to exercise, and I did have little time, but I mean, everybody can make a little bit of time for exercise, and it just sort of got me depressed after a while. And a few years went by where I like hardly got to the gym, hardly done any exercise, and I sort of like I lost all of the muscle mass that I gained, and I actually I got like skinny fat, and you know what that looks like, and it was really depressing to me, and there's multiple factors to why that happened and everything. But at the end of the day, I just decided, like I can't do this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. I made some career changes, got some time back, and really just dedicated myself or forced myself, to get back into the gym. And once that bug bit me again, it was I couldn't stop. I remember when I just started enjoying the gym again, I would see how many days in a row I could go to the gym without taking a rest day, which is obviously not like the best thing to do, but it was, I would go like 3 weeks, 20 days or 21 days without skipping gym once. And yeah, they just, it just really sank into me. And like, I just had this desire, this burning desire again to exercise and see where I can take my body. And a couple of years after that, I started looking good again. I really got my gains back quite quickly because muscle memory and that stuff. And I knew what I was doing in the gym in the first place. So it wasn't like I was a newbie starting out, not sure how to diet, how to train, how to recover, that stuff. I already knew a lot of that stuff. I just learned more of it as we went along. A couple of friends asked me to, help them out to get back into shape and sort of coach them just more as a favor than anything else. And I didn't obviously accept any money for it because I wasn't even qualified. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll help you out. I'll create a diet for you. I'll give you a training plan and that type of thing. So I helped a few people out like that for free, probably for a couple of years, 2 years or so. I didn't really have time then to take on more clients, or I didn't have the desire either to make it like a business or ask money for it. But the demand just started coming in via social media. And I started posting a bit more about fitness and so on. So I would get some DMs from people asking me for help and asking, do I do coaching and stuff? And I turned a lot of people away because no, it wasn't something that I was doing. And then I just thought to myself, well, I mean, I can start this thing small. I don't have to take on a lot of clients. I can, start taking 2 or 3 paying clients on and see how it goes. And then if I don't have time to get to all of them, then I just wouldn't take on more the next month or the next month, So I sat with about 5 to 10 clients for probably a year or two, without advertising or anything, just took some of them on that asked me via DMs. And I just love the aspect, the coaching aspect. I really love getting involved with people's fitness journeys and the intricacies of it. It's a bit of a, it's almost like a puzzle. Every person is a bit of a puzzle. Like everyone's so different, and that's why you can't just get this information online and copy what somebody else is doing and think it's going to work for you. It's so unique, and I just love the whole process from beginning to end, solving those problems, helping people out, and it just evolved from there. And eventually, I competed as well, and I started coaching more and more clients, and I got more and more demand. To the point where we are now that I've got quite a few clients on my book, and yeah, I just absolutely love coaching, and I'm hoping in the near future to make it my my sole business, my sole income. But I have a little bit of ways to go there, but I have plans. So I also don't want to take on too many clients at one time, because I really do put a lot of time and effort into each client. I'm extremely thorough with my analysis of them and my check-ins and the way I treat them, the time I give them. I like to explain how I do things and why we do things, so that they know as well. Some would say it's not like a good business model, but I want them to be self-sufficient at the end of the day as well. That if they do ever leave me as a coach, they actually know why we did some stuff, and they can continue with that on their own, and making the best out of their fitness journey even without me. So yeah, that's how I sort of got into it, and that's where we are at the moment. And it's just getting better day after day, and I just honestly just love coaching everybody.
Well, that's an epic reason to be in the game, and I think it's inspiring, your mindset about it and the way that you treat each person uniquely and as a piece of the puzzle. That's really cool, and I think that if more coaches did that, it would be better for everyone. And like you said, maybe it's not the best business model, but giving a better product is so much better than just low quality and then quantity.
Yeah, so there's two sides of the coin, right? So there's the one side that says, hey, this isn't a clever thing to do because you might be shooting yourself in the foot business-wise. But the other thing is the whole value aspect of it. And I've created, because I do my online coaching through an app, right? So everything gets done on the app. But inside of the app, I built in a educational section as well. So that my client, I created videos and content and PDFs and things that they can, just basic thing. It's not very in depth. It's just the simple things to keep in mind, and the simple reasons behind why we do what we do. And if they understand some of those principles, then their progress is better and their progress is quicker, and they adhere to the plan a lot more because they understand why we are doing things. It's not just throw this at them and say, hey, you do this. And then they have to say, yes, sir, I'm doing this. And, it doesn't matter what, just tell me what to do, coach, I'll do it. Like, yes, I understand that mindset. But if you also just have a basic understanding of certain principles, of why we do certain things, you're much more likely to stick to it. Your progress is going to be better. You're going to have to want to stick with me longer, because the longer you are with me, the better progress we make. Because the more I learn about your body and more I learn about you, the more specialized we can get around your diet and your training and your recovery. And at the end of the day, the quicker we can make progress. So, there's two sides of the coin. So I see it from that aspect, adding value, and it just comes down to adherence at the end of the day as well. It's like easier for clients to adhere to the plan over a long period of time. Makes my job easier, gives them more satisfaction, more results at the end of the day. So to me, that's a win-win, right?
Absolutely. And I think people will go way further when they understand why they are doing things. And I'm sure that they really appreciate that, because a lot of people, like you said, will just throw them the book, tell them exactly what to do. And some people that works, but for a lot of people, it's actually way more useful to understand why they're doing things and to be more, to understand better and to learn. That's also an epic thing that you've got going there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's completely optional. Like if you want to learn more, the opportunity is there for you, or the platform is there for you. If that's not your thing, then whatever, just follow the plan and we'll do what we do.
Yeah.
So I'm catering for everyone, trying to
everyone. Yeah, that's fantastic. So well done on getting back to it from being out of it for so long and then making the necessary life changes to get back to it. Do you think that your sister can still do more pull-ups than you?
I should hope not. She's still in pretty good shape, but yeah, I can put quite a large sum of money on it. I think I'll beat her this time around. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys should do a little competition sometime.
No, just
easy money.
Good. Yeah, easy money.
Better not.
But good question.
Yeah.
Good question.
Can you explain muscle growth and the mechanisms involved?
Yeah. So I think if we talk about muscle growth, we talking about the hypertrophy response, which means in increasing muscle size. So I mean, that's what most people are interested in that are going to be listening to this podcast in any case. So there's some basic principles that go into that. And yeah, so hypertrophy has a couple of principles. The first one probably would be mechanical tension. I think a lot of people confuse that with a load. It's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. So you need to challenge your muscle. You need to have an adequate stimulus to challenge your muscle. Otherwise, you're not going to get any growth, right? So I can give you this quick example. You can take a pencil in your hand and bicep curl the pencil 10,000 times. You're not going to get any growth out of that. Your muscle is not going to grow no matter how many reps you do, because the tension that is placed on your muscle is not adequate enough to force an adaptation, so you won't grow. So that's one key principle is load or mechanical tension. There's a bunch of others. Obviously, time under tension, how long you keep that muscle under tension. Proximity to failure, I think, is probably one of the most important ones. How hard you push yourself, and obviously progressive overload, getting stronger and better at a movement or exercise over time. So if you don't continually stimulate or force your muscles to grow at a greater degree, week by week, let's call it week by week, but it doesn't need to be week by week, but on average, they'll have no reason to grow. They'll have no reason to adapt. So you have to progressively apply a strategy that's going to challenge them more and more each time that you exercise or perform exercise. So that's the principle of
progressive overload. Exactly.
And it's all very, very valid points. Again, it's just pretty straightforward.
You mentioned time under tension. Do you use constant tension when you work out, and do your clients use it? Or what are your thoughts on constant tension and time under tension?
Well, I wouldn't say, so the two of them sort of go hand in hand, right? So performing an exercise slower obviously places that muscle under tension for a longer period of time. So research-wise, we have so much research on this now. So having a muscle for a longer period of time under tension just creates a better hypertrophy response. So I often, within my training programs, I specify, how slow you should actually do the exercise. And I sort of explain to clients how long should the rep be? Should it be like a 2-second negative, 1 second positive type thing? So what we try and focus on is, and what I try and teach and explain is the eccentric portion of the movement for that exercise is more important than the concentric portion of it, and we've got a lot of data on that as well. So doing like a slow, we call it, some people call it a negative rep, right? A slow negative rep, where you in complete control of the weight all the way through. That's eccentric part of the movement should usually be around twice as long as the concentric part. So, if we take a dumbbell press, you're going down with the dumbbells, you want to take 1-2 seconds maybe, and then bam, 1 second up. So in that way, you're increasing the time and attention, and you're also forcing yourself to stay safer, because you won't be able to lift as much load or weight. You'll have less injuries, and you get a higher degree of muscle growth out of it. So, time and attention, extremely important part of hypertrophy.
So you don't believe in isometric holds or stopping at the top or bottom of the rep. You keep it going consistently, constant tension.
No, I wouldn't say I don't believe in it. I'm not as naive to think that there's just one way to do things. I think needs to be a reason or methodology behind what you're doing. So obviously there are some, there's application to it, right? It just depends what you want to achieve. So there are times where you would, let's say, focus just on one portion of the rep, not having a full range of motion, or doing a concentric hold. There are reasons for that. And what I was speaking about earlier is more applicable to the general public and the general population and the general person in the gym. When we start talking about isometric holds and, working in only a short range of motion or range of movement for a specific period of time, then we're starting to get into things that are more intermediate and more advanced, right? So those things do add up and they do make a difference, but the basics stay the same, right? So just do the basics first, and that's where your main growth comes from. And down the line, there is a place for that, and I do incorporate it, but it's not something that gets used or should have as much attention on it as the basics, full range of motion, slow reps, time under tension, mechanical load, that type of thing. I'll never say I don't believe in this or that or whatever, because something might work better for one person than another person, and there's not always there's more than one way to do things. So I do believe in it. I just believe it has a time and place. I believe that certain principles and certain techniques, there should be a reason why you're doing it. And if you can't tell me what's the reason behind this, why am I doing this specifically now, as opposed to just normal reps, then, I mean, you sort of put yourself in a box already. So, if you have a good reason, why not?
Okay. So you typically recommend full range of motion and then 2 second eccentric, 1 second concentric. This is obviously a complete generalization, but would you say that that's a good starting point? And then from there, then you will decide based on specific people what works better for them and then adapt accordingly.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty, generally a good line to follow is full range of motion. But when we talk about full range of motion, that's not the same for everyone, right? So my full range of motion and your full range of motion might not be the same for a specific exercise. And that's just basically because
Anatomy.
Anatomy. That's one of the biggest reasons. Mechanically, we're not exactly the same. Another reason is, flexibility and mobility, especially in the joints. Another thing is injuries. We have to work around injuries and pain points and uncomfortability. So I always say full range of motion for you is where you can get the most range out of a movement without any pain, without any significant discomfort that causes pain, right? You should never have pain. There's a pain. Not the pain of I'm pushing really hard here, my muscles are burning pain, but like injury type of pain. You should not have that. Knees that are hurting, ankles, backs that are hurting, those type of things. Then you need to change it. Exercises or find different variations that could support a larger range of motion or range of movement, and then obviously work on those weaknesses in your movement patterns with flexibility and mobility exercise and those types of things. So yeah, I think generally go as deep or as far as you can with the movement without any pain. Control the weight all the way, both directions, control it, but put some extra emphasis on the uh, eccentric part of the movement and the stretching of the muscle, as opposed to just the squeezing of the muscle, because yeah, we have a lot of evidence surrounding that just makes it that tells us it's more efficient.
Absolutely. And I'm guilty of that. I always used to just focus on the concentric aspect. And more recently, I've started focusing on that slow eccentric. And I'm hoping that it's going to pay its dividends.
Yeah, for sure it will. Yeah.
What role does nutrition play in supporting muscle hypertrophy?
Probably plays the largest role of all, over and above exercise. Obviously, you need to create the stimulus first, right? So once you've created the stimulus by exercising and forcing your body to adapt, you need to feed the body, feed the muscle, right? So nutrition is how your body rebuilds and how your body grows. So it's extremely important, and an adequate protein intake is obviously the first thing that we think of, because we need an adequate protein intake to support muscle protein synthesis and the reparation of muscle fibers that you damaged within the gym, so that they can grow back and grow bigger at the end of the day. So food is everything almost. You go back to even from the bodybuilders from the 60s, 70s, 80s, they just, and even now, everybody just hammers on nutrition. Food is the most anabolic thing that you can put in your body. And it's so true. And good food, obviously. High quality sources of protein, sources of carbohydrates and fats. It matters. Food choices matter. Fuel your body. Yeah.
What sources do you typically recommend? High quality protein and carbs and fats and all the rest. Which are the ones, your go-tos?
Potatoes are great. Rice is great. If you want more fiber, you pick a brown rice. Cereals are great. I try to limit the sugars. Not that sugar is inherently a bad thing, but it's something that we want to take in moderation. So we incorporate as many different foods as possible to get as many different micro and macronutrients in from different sources as possible, and that just leads to a healthier body, a healthier gut, and I think at the end of the day, a better physique.
You mentioned a healthy gut. How important is having a healthy gut?
Extremely important. So the old saying where they say you are what you eat. It's I'll take it one step further. It's not you are what you eat. It's you are what you digest. If you are unable to adequately digest food and turn it into nutrients that can be assimilated and pulled into your muscles or into your cells in your body, doesn't mean anything. So your gut is extremely important. Your gut health, there's so much data that's come out on this lately. Your gut health is even linked to brain health, and chronic stress places a lot of stress on your gut, which then again increases inflammation in your body, increases bad bacteria building up in your body. More toxins get released into your bloodstream than it should. Get watery, you become ill quicker. Your immune system is downregulated because of gut health. Your whole physical appearance can be so different just if your gut health is good. So I was saying there was like a really interesting study that was done. It was done on rats, but we have so much data, human data as well on gut health now, that it's not even It's not even a question whether it's relevant or not. It's like we know it's relevant. But what they did was they overfed some rats, and one group of rats and the other group of rats, they kept nice and healthy. Then they tested the gut bacteria and the gut microbiome of both of them. And it was vastly different, like completely different. And this is exactly what we find in humans as well. If we go and look at the gut microbiota from an obese person and a healthy person or a fit person, it's like night and day. It's vastly different. So what they did was they extracted the gut bacteria from the obese rats, and the same thing for the healthy rats, and they swapped them around. They placed they swapped the gut microbiota around, and the previously obese rats started to lose weight without any change in their diet or any change in physical activity, and the healthy rats started to gain weight without any other external factors being changed at all. So just that would tell you how important proper gut function is. It also supports anabolic compound anabolic functions in your body, insulin production, blood glucose levels. It literally influences 90% of what's going on in your body. So it's extremely important.
And how can you monitor it?
Well, firstly, how can you improve it is probably a good question. So you usually know when your gut health isn't good. You don't digest food very well. You have reflux. You get bloated. You feel like you're holding a lot of water. A lot of times people feel sluggish. So your bowel movements are regular.
Yes.
And yeah, so pretty much that. So certain foods would obviously promote the growth of bad bacteria and cause inflammation in the body. So the way to improve it is pretty straightforward. Like we need fiber in our diets. A lot of the highly processed foods that a lot of us eat is completely devoid of fiber and nutrients. We need proper fiber in, and we need a variety of foods. We need micronutrients to support gut health. So we need to have adequate fruits and vegetables in our diet. We need to have high quality carbohydrates in our diet. We need to have fiber in our diet. And also prebiotic foods, like if you don't have a lactose problem, things like Greek yogurt to promote healthy growth of bacteria is always a great option to have in your diet. So that's why I honestly feel that for most people, a vast majority of people, just having a balanced diet of a lot of different foods, good foods, is the best way to go. It keeps things, it's not boring. You have a lot of food groups to choose from, a lot of foods to choose from. You don't like one thing, there's definitely a replacement for it. Yeah. And it will keep your gut healthy. And also so like bad gut health is obviously linked to like a ton of illnesses, heart health, cancers. All of those things can be linked to bad gut health. So having a good gut stops toxins, certain bacteria, certain poisons entering the bloodstream. And when they actually do, that's when you get sick, and that's when you're not feeling well, and it affects pretty much everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you make good points about it being incredibly important to eat good foods and that kind of thing to promote good gut health. You mentioned that you utilize protein powders. What supplements do you use besides protein powders, and which protein powders in particular do you prefer?
Right, so there's a couple of supplements that I think are really worthwhile. One of them would be protein powders. It's not a must. It's not I have to use it, but it just makes things more convenient, right? So it's an easy way to get in protein, we usually just use a straightforward whey protein that has nothing else added in terms of
No fillers.
no fillers, those types of things. And then you have to trust your brand to not do that, to not do amino spiking or nitrogen spiking, or adding those fillers in that actually mean nothing. So it's a really easy, quick way to get protein in. It gets absorbed really fast, and for the vast majority of people, it digests really well and really easily. For those that whey protein does not digest really well, that's usually people that are pretty sensitive to lactose, and an isolate protein can help. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a little bit easier on the gut for those that do have some issues with digesting. But like I said, it's not a must. It's not one of those I have to use supplements. It just makes things easier. You can replace it with food, and that's perfectly fine. One of the other supplements that's probably right at the top of the list is creatine monohydrate. So just the monohydrate version, it's the cheapest version, right? So you get a lot of creatines on the market that are not monohydrate, and they cost a lot more, but they don't offer any more benefits. So creatine is actually the supplement that has the most studies on. It's the most studied supplement of all time. So we know it works. It really does. But what's really interesting about creatine is that it's now it's long been thought, but it's been proven now in quite a few research papers to even help with cognitive function. So it's even a neuroprotective compound. So it protects your brain. It helps with lethargy. So it's really good for your brain. It's really good for your muscles. You recover quicker. You can train harder. It's a source of energy for your muscles in the form of ATP. So it's a fantastic supplement that can, an extremely safe supplement that can be used pretty much by anyone, young or old, male, female. It's a safe supplement, and it really does work. I think one of the other things that we can quickly talk about as well is caffeine. I mean, that's been around for ages, but it's a supplement that really does work. I mean, it increases alertness, it increases training performance, it increases your metabolic rate, so you can lose more fat because you're using it. It's a fantastic supplement to be using. So the top of my top list of supplements that would help for training would be creatine monohydrate, protein powder, and caffeine. Those three are probably right at the top of the list of things that really do work. There's a bunch of others, obviously, but keep it simple. Those are the ones that are core and quite cheap, well, very cheap, and they work. So
Absolutely. I utilize all three of those, and I know my gym session is not as good if I don't take my pre-workout. So that caffeine is a necessity, especially when training at night. Well, not too late, obviously, because then it can keep you up. But after a lot of training,
even just a cup of coffee, a cup of black coffee before your training can benefit you so much. You don't need to have a pre-workout with caffeine in. You can just drink a cup of coffee. You can even get caffeine tablets that are really cheap and easy to find. So use caffeine tablets as well. And if you're sensitive to caffeine, I mean, just don't use it. It's fine. There's many other things that are useful to use. But yeah, we'll just keep it to those top three, I suppose, for now.
Okay, no, brilliant. And in terms of the amount of protein that you suggest, do you go with the standard 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, or 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, or what do you use, or different per person?
So it's a good measuring stick, right? So like 2 grams per kilogram is a good one. It's the same as it's the same as 1 per pound, right? So 1 per pound would be 2.2 grams per kilogram. that's adequate protein intake. Females would need a little bit less than that, but there's nothing wrong with using the exact, say, 2 grams per kilogram for a female as well. I like to keep protein high in most cases. Protein's very satiating. It has a high thermic effect, so it's by just increasing your protein intake on a daily basis, you can increase your metabolism and burn more fat at the end of the day. And obviously, you need adequate amounts of protein to build muscle as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say 2 grams per kilogram is a good goal to have. A little bit less, a little bit more, doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's sort of where I would aim for
most
the
people.
general population. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say are the biggest training mistakes that people tend to make during their initial years of training versus maybe intermediate years or advanced years?
So I think there are like 3 overarching pillars to this, right? So I think the lack of patience is the biggest pitfall, especially for people starting out, because muscle is slowly accumulated, right? So, and I understand in the world that we're living in today, there's like so much social pressure and social media is in your face, and everybody looks so good and big and buff, and it's hard to tell somebody that's like starting out. I get it quite a lot with the younger guys that I help. They'll send me a picture of somebody and say, "Do you think I'll look like this in a year, or look like this in 2 years?" And then I have to be like, "Listen, but this guy that you're showing me most probably has 10 years of hard training under his belt. You have to barrel down and just, focus on your own path, not somebody else's path. Just keep progressing and stay patient." Right. So muscle is built by the gram. So it comes on slowly. So you need to be patient. So lack of patience is the first one. The second one I say is lack of consistency. So you might have the best plan in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't execute it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You have to be consistent in this game. If you're not consistent, at least 80% of the time, you're cheating yourself, right? So consistency, doing the boring stuff, day in, day out, same thing over and over is boring. It can get boring, but it's what works, right? Staying consistent. And then I think the last big one is lack of discipline. So everybody talks about motivation, but motivation is fleeting and motivation is fickle. Motivation only lasts a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes or a day if you're lucky. But discipline lasts a lifetime. So use the motivation to build good habits. Good habits daily, consistently leads to discipline. Discipline leads to success. So if you have discipline, it doesn't matter what situation you're in, your good habits will take over. But if you don't have discipline, bad habits are really easy to creep in, and you'll just one day say, "Oh, screw it, I'm having a bad day. Let me just completely fall off the rails. I'll get back to it Monday." Right? That's the last thing that you want, because it breaks your momentum, and it's easy to fall into that pit. And Monday becomes Wednesday, and Wednesday becomes Friday, and Friday becomes next Monday. But if you have your discipline established, the likelihood of that happening is very small. So lack of patience, lack of consistency, and lack of discipline, I think those are the biggest pitfalls that the beginning to intermediate guys usually face.
No, absolutely. I see a lot of guys start out and they go to gym consistently for a week or 2 weeks or a month, give them 2 months, and then they're like, okay, well, what now? Like, I've been doing it consistently, I've been disciplined, and then they lose motivation and they give up. But it's unfortunate because I reckon they need to try for at least a year minimum before actually assessing whether it's worth it or not for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can go to the gym and bust your ass and train as super hard as you want, go to sleep. The next morning, you look in the mirror, you look the same as yesterday. Now I mean, you put all of this effort in, but you don't see it. You don't see it, right? So it takes time. It takes time, and you have to play the long game. You have to see into the future, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 12 months. Yeah, so just patience.
Stick to it. Stick to it. No, exactly. And on that, how has research changed the way that we do things?
Well, I mean, research today is like playing such a massive role. Everybody's on about it. Everybody's like substantiating everything with studies left and right, and half the people don't even read the studies or understand what they're reading. It's great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, research is fantastic. But what research has done is it's pretty much just it's proven what we've been doing for the past 50 years in the fitness industry. There are some massive things that have changed, right? But the people that have been truly successful in the bodybuilding world 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, they're pretty much doing the same thing that we're doing today. We might be a little bit more efficient today and have a few more things to leverage off of and more knowledge. But what we've done is through research, we pretty much just confirmed a lot of the bro science. So research is great. I mean, it gives us so much insight, and I love research, but I think a lot of people focus too much on research and not practical application. So research is great, cool. Don't forget about it. Learn about it. Learn about what there is, okay? But focus on the basics. Focus on doing the 90% to the best of your abilities, because the other 10% is going to make 1% change in your fitness and physique. So don't go chasing silver bullets and silver linings. Just do the basics right, and the basics are substantiated by research. We've it's awesome to have all of these studies and being able to prove a lot of these hypotheses that we've had for so many years. But yeah, there are some awesome landmark studies that I suppose came out really recently that gives us more insight into building muscle quicker and more efficiently. A massive one is, it's actually quite a few, but there's some really good meta-analyses and the peer-reviewed studies that came out that support hypertrophy, greater hypertrophy, where the muscle is placed in a lengthened position, so that stretch part that we even spoke about earlier in the episode, where you really try and get deep into that range of motion and focus on the eccentric part of the movement, stretch it, and then go to the other part of the movement. That negative part of the movement, where you place your muscle in a stretched position, actually causes more muscle growth than we
a full range
would have thought. Yeah, than the full range of motion that we would have thought. So knowing those things is great, but the best of the best have been incorporating that in anyways, and they didn't even know it. It's just now that we actually know it, now we can make more informed decisions based on it. So it's interesting, it's nice to apply, but don't get lost in research and lost in the science. And if you're not sure, try it for yourself and monitor it and see if it works.
Absolutely.
A lot of people ask me things and I'm like, I don't know.
Do it. Try it.
Try it. Write a log. Try it for a couple of months. Write down your findings and then come tell me what did you find? Did it work for you? Yes or no? I don't know. We're not all the same.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with your point of view on research being excellent and useful, but it's only useful if you actually go and do it and do the practical side of it. If you just read it, you're never going to grow if you're not actually utilizing it or just gymming. You actually need to practice what you read to get the gains.
Actionable research. So
yes, absolutely. On that one, that those long lengths partial, that study was actually done by Dr. Milo Wolf, and he was on this podcast a few weeks back. So
awesome.
That's his study that he chatted about.
I should go listen to that, and I most definitely will. Yeah, it was an awesome study. Like, I mean, it's very, very interesting. Another thing that's pretty interesting, just touching on that, is, it was pretty, that lengthened part of so that was applicable pretty much to the whole body. But interestingly enough, the glutes were a bit different. Placing the glutes under, the lengthened position didn't actually produce more hypertrophy than not. So there was a lot of people kicking back on doing hip thrusts, because the hip thrust, the top of the movement is where you really is where the muscle is not in the lengthened position, it's actually in the shortened position. That's where you feel it the most, right? And because the study sort of came out and these studies started coming out, they were like, okay, hip thrusts are redundant, just do squats. But I don't know if you're familiar with Brett Contreras.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so he was involved in some of these studies as well, which also just shows like the glutes are a little bit different at times. They benefit almost as much from the shortened position as the lengthened position. So keep doing your hip thrusts. He's known as like the glute building expert. He's the glute guy, and he's been involved in so many studies. So he's contributed so much to the industry. And if you want to learn how to, if you're a lady and you want to learn how to build your glutes, just go follow him for a while and just just see the exercises that they do and how they do it. He's just phenomenal in the way that he's structured his business.
Yeah, he is the glute.
Yeah, he's the glute guy.
That is not he's the glute guy. Literally, it looks like he's done his PhD probably in some kind of area.
Yes, correct. Yes, for sure.
Okay, yeah, I must invite him on the podcast at some stage. Personal success stories. Could you share a particularly challenging or inspiring experience from your own training or coaching career that listeners can learn from?
I think the most important thing that I learned, and we know this is probably that section or that part of my life where I sort of lost momentum and I lost fitness. And I think the most important thing that I learned from that, and a lot of people can relate, is exercise is the best antidepressant, anti-anxiety drug that there is. Even if you just get a little bit of exercise in each week, it literally can change your life. And you need to make it a longevity thing. You need to make it a part of your daily routine. You need to make it fun for yourself and enjoy it. But it's so critical. Exercise is just so absolutely so critical for our mental health, our physical health, and our longevity. So I mean, you can even all the way go down to the studies that talk about the more muscle mass you have, the healthier you're going to live and the longer you're going to live. I'm not talking about the 300-pound freaks that are on PEDs and compete and stuff. I'm talking about people that are the general healthy people that go to the gym and focus on adding muscle mass to their frame. Muscle mass on your frame is what keeps you healthy. It's what keeps you young, and it's what is going to give you a longer lifespan at the end of the day. So you want longevity, build muscle, right?
Absolutely, and I totally agree. And all the data supports having more muscle being very good for you in the long run, and then you can pick up your kids, your grandkids, and you can get up off
quality of life,
all those kind of things.
Quality of life, and that's what it's about. So we can't we all want to live a successful and a happy and a good life, and
but if your body's broken,
and you're struggling to, exactly like you said, struggling to play with your kids or your grandkids or this or that, we can circumvent that. Most of us can circumvent that just by being physically active.
Absolutely. if you were going on a spaceship to Mars and wanted to maintain muscle size, what 10 exercises or pieces of equipment would you choose to take with you? It can be any machine or exercise, but you have limited space. And I often get this one wrong because people want to say, okay, I'll take a whole squat rack, and then on the squat rack, they'll do lots of different exercises.
That's what I just
But
wanted
if you
to say.
have to do 10, so just 10 exercises to maintain your full, as much muscle and full body composition as possible.
Okay.
So for example, like a pull-up would count as one, but for example, it can be wide grip and regular grip.
Yes,
That's still
that's-
just one, but a chin-up would be different. Then it's no longer.
Yeah, so pull up would be one. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Just a general wide grip, normal pull up. That'd be one. Some kind of squat variation would be another one, whether that be a normal barbell squat or a hack squat or something. Personally, I would pick a hack squat if I can have a hack squat there, but it's some kind of,
You can have a hack squat.
Yeah.
You've got a hack squat.
so some kind of squat variation. Then I would have some kind of bench exercise. Say I would have incline dumbbell press, for sure. So let's do that.
At what angle? 45 or low angle?
Yeah, yeah, 30 to 45 degrees is good. So
Okay.
anyway, there you're pretty good. Then something to pull, right? I'd love a Smith machine to do. I'm talking about me personally because I usually I would say like
Yeah, no, for you.
I would
for
say
you.
barbell rows off the ground is fantastic, but I have some lower back issues and like I can't progress on that. So, but I can progress on a Smith machine, which is just a bit more stability and support. So a Smith machine row, definitely do that. Normal barbell curls for biceps. Don't need anything else. Barbell curls. That's it. Triceps, we'll have the close grip bench press. So we are targeting the triceps so we can even get some chest growth out of it. I don't know how many we're at, but honestly, I'd have some kind of delt exercise. I would have a lateral raise, but with a pulley, not with a dumbbell, where I have constant tension, if that's possible, please. I'll have that. We gotta have a
So what was the last one? A pulley?
for delts, like side delt, like side lateral delt.
Okay, side delts.
So side laterals will have that one. Front like the front delts get enough work in any case, so I'm not worried about that. My rear delts will get enough work with the pulling
Side delts.
pulling work that we're doing from the Smith machine. So then we have to have a calf machine. Like you can't not train calves, right?
Yeah.
So let's just go with a standard standing calf raise machine. Actually, no, the donkey calf raise machine.
So seated.
No. It's a donkey calf raise machine. It's not seated. It's where you hinge at the hip. Like the weight is like you bend forward and the weight is lying on top of your hips, right? So you like bent at a angle like this and the weight is there at your hips.
Okay.
So hinging at the hips would cause more strain on the what are we talking about? The
calves.
strain on the calves, so that would be more effective. Right. So then I would have a seated hamstring curl machine.
Okay.
To put that hamstring in that lengthened position and really, I love that machine. I think it's my favorite hamstring movement. That's that. Then just for overall strength and functionality, just overhead military press with a barbell. I think that's always a good thing to have in. Yeah, I think you're pretty covered if you can just see those. You'll probably be pretty jacked.
You'll be pretty jacked. You'll stay big on Mars to fight the Mars.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're still going to be losing muscle mass, but
Yeah.
it's gonna help.
Well, if they can pack you your protein and stuff,
Yeah,
maybe not.
yes. So if you have those rations in, I think you're
good rations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who are your favorite influences in the bodybuilding industry?
Oh, okay. I want to say Arnold, but I don't know.
Yeah, Arnold.
Yeah, but like old, like back in the day, Arnold, not today, Arnold. I'm not a
No, I get you.
right. So
He's still around though.
no, he's still. Of course, I know, but
Yeah,
I just
I get you. No, I get you.
that Arnold.
Have you seen the Arnold series?
I have actually not. Right. So you got to pick him because I mean he revolutionized things.
He's iconic.
You know, he's so iconic and everything. So, but other than him, I'm a massive Dorian Yates fan. I think we can learn so much from him in the training methodology that he brought to the table. That is so relevant today that everybody is talking about the low volume, high volume, intensity type scenario. So Dorian Yates, obviously, Roddy Coleman was just a freak of nature from a different planet.
Crazy.
I love Jay Cutler and what he's doing for the industry and what he keeps doing is just, he's so busy and he's so busy in the industry. He's everywhere. He's, his podcast, his podcast, his YouTube show is so good and he promotes the industry so much. Coming back closer to more recent people, love Derek Lunsford, Seabum, you know, I love Ian Valier. And then I love these hardcore training guys that train like super hard, like Jordan Peters. I don't know if you know him. If you want to know what intensity looks like, go follow Jordan Peters and see how, or Jordan Peterson, sorry, not the bodybuilder and not the psychologist.
Not, yes, no. He actually coached the guy who came on the first podcast. He was his coach for 6
Is it? Okay. Yeah. So if you wanna see what real intensity looks like, just go and have a look at how that guy trains.
Yeah.
That group of people, Dante Trudell, Jordan, James Hollingshead, Dusty Hanshaw. Those are guys that like takes training to the next level. And it's, you can spot from a mile away this guy is training himself into the ground. Just the way they go about their training sessions and how focused they are for every rep, for every set. They're so switched on mentally to perform that it's just like, it's admirable. And I like to model myself after that type of training methodology. Yeah, so that's like the bodybuilders, but obviously like I've got a lot of respect for people like Dr. Andrew Huberman. It's a neuroscientist. I love Lane Norton. He's got his PhD in protein synthesis. Yeah, so I love, it's controversial, but I love Victor Black. And what is who? Victor Black. So he's brought so much to the industry in terms of performance enhancing drugs and research, and just not research that he's done himself, but putting research together and making it understandable, and creating frameworks from research so that we can stay safer. John Dewett's great. I love his J3 University. Yeah, so there's so many people that I respect.
Yeah,
and I could go on for days, but
could go on forever.
But yeah,
I get you. Yeah, just briefly, we are getting close to the end, but you mentioned high volume versus low volume. Can you if summarize your thoughts on high volume versus low volume, and what kind of reps and set schemes you'd give in general? Of course, it's person dependent, but
yeah. Okay, so there's a big discussion around high volume versus low volume, and once again, there's many ways to skin a cat. It's not to say that low volume or high volume is superior to one. It's not always superior to the other, right? Some people prefer one to the other, and that's fine, right? So if you like something more, you're more likely to stick to it. So I mean, that's definitely a consideration. What you like more. but I have a bias, a little bit of a bias. And I believe that lower volume, I'm not saying like super low volume, just lower volume in the ranges that, Dorian Yates sort of did. I feel that it's more beneficial, but there's a caveat to it. Doing lower volume, you really have to up your intensity. You need to take your sets harder and further than you think you could have, because otherwise you're going to waste your time. So you need to get really close to failure. You need to be super intense. You don't need a lot of sets. You don't need a lot of exercises. So my methodology kind of is like, let's go into the gym with high intensity. We smash the training session, focus on each set, on each rep, push super hard, finish your training session, go home, eat, and recover. We want to go in, force an adaptation, and then go recover so that we can grow. Because we don't grow in the gym, we break down muscle in the gym. So we want to almost limit the time that we're in the gym. So we just want to go in, force that adaptation, and leave. So anywhere around 15 to 20 working sets a week per body part is probably a good way to throw at it. Rep ranges, that's also sort of been proven to be not as important at all. So heavier weights with lower reps is not necessarily going to build more muscle than lower weights and higher reps. It's more to do with the proximity to failure. How close are you getting to failure? And actually, it's more difficult to push your sets to failure when you're doing lower weight and more reps, because then your cardiovascular system is in play, right? So, and that's not always what you want, because some people might be unfit and their cardiovascular system would give out before their muscles would give out. So their failure would be limited by their cardiovascular health, cardiovascular endurance. So I don't know. So it also depends what you like, but I generally say between 8 and 20 reps is always a good rep range. I vary it. Some exercises heavier, some lighter, and I structure my training programs in training blocks, right? So this training block that we are currently in might look different than the next training block. So this training block for the next couple of months might be lower volume, handling higher weights, but the next one might be a bit higher volume and handling lower weights and more reps. So it also depends how the person responds on that as well. So not everybody's the same, like I said. So, but I tend to lean to the lower volume and really high intensity training, being extremely focused during sets and reps, and really just like murdering your muscle before stopping.
Giving it your all.
Yeah. So before stopping your sets. So I like that because it limits the time in the gym and gives you more time to recover and actually grow.
Absolutely. You've got to train hard.
Yeah, irrespective, you've got to train hard, right? So, and I just think that most people don't even know what training hard is.
Yeah. No, I feel like I was one of those people until until more recently, because I always trained what I thought was hard, but I think that I overestimated what 1 RIR or 2 RIR is.
Do you know what a lot of people actually need at some point? Most people need
to train to failure.
No, yes, but you need somebody training with you that knows how to get there, to push you to those limits, right? So that switch in your brain gets flipped. Because if you've never been into that zone, like truly been into that zone or pushed into that zone, you don't know what it feels like. You think you do, but have somebody that's much more experienced, that really knows how to push into failure, stand next to you while you're doing a hack squat where it's safe, right? And have that person determine when you get out of the hack squat. You don't determine when you get out. That person there is going to he's going to keep you safe, and he's going to push you to failure and actually show you what failure looks like and feels like. And once you've done that and you actually really experienced it, the switch flips and you can do it by yourself. But until somebody has pushed you to that level, put that gun to your head and said, listen, if you don't do one more rep, I'm going to fire this bullet. And true failure is you're not going to do that rep, so you're dead. That's what true failure is. So having that mentality and pushing yourself that far, or having somebody help you do that, I think is really important.
The difference between the champions and the average.
Yeah. And I mean, I was exactly the same. I thought I was training super hard until my first coach started training with me, and we were doing exactly what I was speaking about, doing the hack squat, and I was like, I'm done. Like, I want to get out, and he pushed me back in that hack squat. You keep going.
Right.
And I thought I was done, but I could do 3, 4, 5 more reps, and I did that. So I wasn't even close. I wasn't even close to failure. I thought I was.
Yeah. But your mind was failing before your body.
That's it.
So for closing thoughts, what advice or parting words of wisdom do you have for our listeners who are looking to embark on their own journey of muscle growth and health?
It's your journey. It's not somebody else's. It's unique. Stay in your lane. Focus on what you can do and what you can do progressively better day after day. Try and be better than yesterday. You're not going to be perfect. Don't fixate on perfection. We're not looking for perfection. We're just looking for consistency. If you can just be consistent in something and do it the same thing over and over again, you will succeed. So find what you enjoy the journey, enjoy the challenges, learn from your failures, be steadfast and consistent, and keep your eyes on the prize. It's going to take a while. Sorry to burst your bubble, it's going to take a while. You're not going to achieve what you want in 6 months, or most probably not even a year, but you're going to be way further ahead than what you were yesterday. So enjoy the journey, embrace the difficulty, embrace the challenges, and stay consistent.
Absolutely. You make an excellent point, and thank you so much for your time, and really appreciate everything that you've had to offer today.
Thanks, Roscoe. I appreciate it. It was good to be on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Goodbye, Gains Gurus. Thank you for listening, and see you on the next episode of TMGP.